Ever since its introduction in Rogue One, Jedha has fascinated Star Wars fans with its unique backstory. The movie painted it as a boiler pot for revolution and ultimately a testing ground for the Death Star, but recent books and comics have painted a much more vibrant picture of this planet. The High Republic Phase 2 in particular has been filled with mentions of Jedha, as various figures and religious sects have flocked to the planet for the convocation. And while this planet has been mentioned in books including Convergence, Path of Deceit, Quest for the Hidden City, and the revamped comic series, they've all been leading to this one specific moment, the Battle of Jedha. With the second full-length audio drama produced in the High Republic era, George Mann brings the Battle of Jedha to life. One part detective story, one part all-out battle, and all parts fun. This is our review of the Battle of Jedha audio drama. Hi everyone, I'm Nathan Emery, content creator here at Youtini, and I'll be taking you through our review of Star Wars The High Republic, The Battle of Jedha, the brand new audio drama from George Mann. As always, this review is going to be spoiler free, so feel free to jump in. With that said, let's talk the plot. Phase 2 of The High Republic has been centered around two main entities. On one side, we've got the Path of the Open Hand, this mysterious religious sect, and on the other, we've got the eternal war between the planets Eiram and Arano. Those two finally converge on Jedha, where Eiram and Arano are set to sign a peace treaty that will bring an end to this decades-long conflict. But there are certain groups who don't want to see war end. And we also get to see the Path of the Open Hand stirring up chaos under the guise of charity for those who agree with their sect. That is where the Battle of Jedha takes place. George Mann handles this deftly, giving us a brief exposition of all the different characters and factions that are in play here, but ultimately at least cursory knowledge of the rest of the phase is highly recommended before jumping into this book. Once the stage is set with religious factions, political leaders, and all of the other groups coming together, the plot proceeds in a relatively straightforward manner. The desire for peace is initially there, but the desire for chaos from certain groups is just too strong, and a few key acts of destruction ultimately bring about the full-scale battle that is mentioned in the title. But until that battle properly takes place, there's a lot of investigatory scenes that take place earlier to uncover exactly what's going on. The plot in that part moves a little slower than some readers may prefer, but once the blaster bolts start flying, the action moves at breakneck pace. Ultimately, we give the plot of this book a good. Now let's jump into the characters. One of the great joys of seeing authors tackle multiple Star Wars projects is getting to see them bring their characters back into the mix, complete their story full circle. George Mann gets to do this with Jedi Master Salandra Sho, who is introduced in Quest for the Hidden City. That being said, Salandra is not the protagonist of this story. That role is given to Creighton and Ada. While these characters have technically been introduced before, the Battle of Jedha really gives them a chance to shine. And though their role is more expository than not most of the time, there's still a dynamic duo that grounds us throughout this story that features so many different characters and factions. But aside from those Jedi who are just, trying to hold the whole universe together, there's some other unlikely characters that are introduced that we really get to know, particularly Keth Sarapath and his droid P-37A. They're introduced early in the story and get thrust into the fray pretty much immediately. Without getting into any spoilers, let's just say Keth is one of the more interesting character arcs in the Battle of Jedha, and P3 continues canon's tradition of having excellent droid companions. But of course, no Star Wars cast of characters is complete without the villains, and this book continues with a particularly strong showing from characters like Marta Rowe, the Mother, the Herald, and others. Ultimately, our rating for the characters in this book is a good. Now let's jump to the originality. So we've been treated to a number of delightful original audio dramas within the world of Star Wars canon, but these mostly have focused around a singular character. Dooku, Aphra, Lorna Dee, they've all been focused around one character's story. the Battle of Jedha shakes things up in a fantastic way. There are a number of defining character moments in this book, but ultimately it is not centered around the characters, but rather the intersection of so many different stories and plot threads that we've been following throughout this phase, all coming to a close on Jedha. Now, does this add more homework than previous audio dramas? Probably. You'll want to be at least a little bit familiar with this phase before jumping in, but it absolutely pays off. But beyond the originality of taking this format in a different direction than we've seen before, the Battle of Jedha really shines in the way it showcases this world. And this is one of the fantastic things about audio dramas, the ability to get to hear and experience in a different dimension than when we're just reading on words on a page. You can hear the bustling, lively streets, the crowds around. It immerses you in the environment in a way that print books just can't. And of course, Jedha has been filled with intrigue around the Force and religion since the Guardians of the Wills were introduced on the planet in Rogue One. And the Battle of Jedha continues in that tradition, making faith a central part of Jedha's story. The Force isn't just something for the Jedi to utilize, but it's a complex, nuanced issue that's facing a number of factions and interpretations. Ultimately, the way Mann uses the Force, religion, this audio drama format to create a bustling, lively Jedha creates a really original, unique audio drama from the ones we've seen before. Our score for originality of this book is a good. Let's jump to the writing. George Mann's writing has been an incredible addition to the world of Star Wars publishing in recent years, but most of it has been geared towards a bit younger of an audience. That changes with the Battle of Jedha, where Mann gets to flex his muscles a little bit more. It's not particularly graphic or dark, but the Battle of Jedha absolutely does not shy away from the violence that characterizes this conflict. It's also an incredibly accessible audio drama. One of the difficulties we've had with audio dramas in the past have been time skips and jumping back and forth that have made the plot a little bit difficult to follow. That's not a problem with George Mann's writing in the Battle of Jedha. Instead, it's presented in a linear fashion with different plot points presented relative to when the battle starts, so we always know exactly where we are going in. And Mann is no stranger to the audio drama genre, and that absolutely shows here. The audio drama format is unique in that we need a certain amount of exposition to understand what's going on, and oftentimes that can lead to forced dialogue, but instead Mann incorporates it naturally, telling us just enough to know what we need to know without making the dialogue forced or unnatural. It's really masterfully done. Ultimately, we give the writing of this book an incredible. Finally, let's jump into entertainment/performances. The emergence of the audio drama as a consistent publishing format within canon is absolutely a gift. Star Wars has been known for its incredible audio, whether it's John Williams soundtracks or the incredible effects that were created starting with A New Hope. And Del Rey Publishing continues that with these audio dramas, delivering such an incredibly mixed cacophony of amazing performances, sound effects, and music that really put us right into the action. The cast of the Battle of Jedha features some of the greatest voice actors and narrators working in the Star Wars space, but there are a few standouts that we have to highlight. From Jedha January Lavoie as the Mother, John Perkis as the Herald, Catherine Ho as Salandra Show, Brandon McInnes as Keth Sarapath, and Raphael Corkil as the strong, measured Creighton's son. Each of these performers uses their expertise and understanding of the characters to bring them to life in such an incredible way. But as mentioned, Del Rey takes that one step further, crafting each section of the story with a different mood. Dark corners are filled with murky, layered music and sound effects that put us into the action, and of course, the battle scenes are everything you could ask for from a Star Wars battle scene. And as mentioned, the first half of the book is a little lighter on the battle part of the title, but the entertainment absolutely does not lack for that first half, with this incredible landscape that's been created and these amazing performances. You will never be at a lack for entertainment or fun as you're going through this audio drama. So ultimately, our rating for the entertainment and performances is an incredible. One of the unique parts of the Battle of Jedha is that it's not a character exposition like we've seen before. This is a truly essential story within Star Wars canon. And George Mann takes that mantle beautifully with the Battle of Jedha, crafting an incredible story of investigation and action, of character development, plot point, politics, religion, all coming together on Jedha to create this one explosive event. Ultimately, our rating for The Battle of Jedha by George Mann is an incredible. The Battle of Jedha is out today on Audible and features a full cast. And if you haven't used Audible before, stick around because you can get this completely free. All you have to do is head to youtini.com/audible, sign up for a free trial, and get your first Star Wars audiobook completely free, no strings attached. It's a great way to pick up The Battle of Jedha or any other Star Wars audiobook you may be interested in. Again, that's youtini.com/audible. Thanks for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.